Yes, people, how we doing? So this has been popping up in quite a lot of the news articles lately, and I do apologise. I see there was a few people waiting because I did say I was coming on 15 minutes ago, but I've been getting everything ready, all the articles, and getting all the facts ready for you lot back at home. So, as a lot of you will probably be aware, that beastie bacon copper, David Carrick, has had some more, or had fresh charges, and he's been found guilty yesterday at the Old Bailey on these more charges. So I am going to talk a little bit about the charges and what sentence he's actually doing, and then I'll go over these fresh ones, and then I'll do some interacting with the subscribers. But this horrible Bacon, police officer Bacon, the video that I've done on David Carrick and Wayne Cousins was the highest ranking video on here. I think it's had nearly 800,000 views. And I said I was going to do an updated video on the pair of them, but I will talk a little bit about the pair of them on this live. Because when I done the live the other day, I had about 600 people watching and it's had nearly 50,000 views. So I will be getting more of these up. So David Carrick, for those of you who don't know, was working for the Met Police. And he was actually working as an armed copper. And he was in the force for nearly 20 years. And in them 20 years, he done some despicable, outrageous, and unbelievable deeds. He was in the force for 20 years. And in that 20 years, there will be a load more victims than what has come forward. But for the charges that he got all these life sentences for, which I'm going to go over, there was 14 victims and there's been another 2, which he's just had this other trial for, which he was found guilty yesterday on Wednesday, and he's due to be sentenced. But I'll put his picture up there whilst I go over a little bit about his sentence. So the span of crimes, these ones have dated back to the 80s. And he wasn't apprehended until the 2nd of October 2021, which is only 4 years ago. And he was handed 36 life sentences with a minimum term of 30 years. And he's 50-year-old now, so he will not be getting released from prison. This monster will die inside a prison. He is now inside of HMP Full Sutton. And he's due to be sentenced later on this week. So here we go. I'm just going to go over this. So the predatory, this is what it says in the article. Predatory ex-copper David Carrick will be sentenced later for what he'd done. So I need to be careful on here, people. I'll come back on because you'll not want to sit and watch his fucking ugly mug for the whole of that when I read through this article. So he will be sentenced later for SA of a 12-year-old and raping a former partner. So Carrick, who's now 50, who served as an armed officer in the Metropolitan Police, essayed that youngster in the 1980s. But like I've just said there, people, as you know, from following the channel, I need to be careful with certain words. So I will use different phrases, but I will let you know exactly what I'm talking about. He repeatedly raped a woman and subjected her to degrading and humiliating abuse during the course of a toxic relationship. The offences came to light after he pleaded guilty in 2022 and 2023 to 71 S offences, including 48 rapes against 12 other women over 17 years. And it's now 14. I've said 14 before, but obviously with these fresh convictions, there's now 14 victims altogether. But are you with me on this? Do you actually think that there is more than what's come to light now? Imagine how many other women who have been terrified, or how many are no longer here because of what this monster done. Imagine how many women have either went down the wrong route because of what he done, or maybe he's done away with themselves and they're no longer here. So he was handed 36 life sentences in 2023 with a minimum term of 32 years. said 30 on the other one, but denied the fresh allegations, but declined to give evidence in his Old Bailey trial. The defendant, or the Bacon, formerly of Stevenage and Hertfordshire, was found guilty of 5 counts of indecent assault relating to the girl in the 1980s. Mrs. Justice McGowan will sentence Carrick for the fresh convictions later on at the Old Bailey. So what I'll do is, obviously, once I've finished the live, he'll be getting sentenced later on today, and I will put it in the comments. I'll not go on and do another video talking about his sentence, but I will tell you, the sentence that he'll get will be another life sentence. It's got to be, for what he's done. And hopefully his minimum term will be increased, which I think it will be, or it could. I don't think they're going to put it concurrent, which just runs alongside his other sentences. It'll be consecutive, because it will be, if they've done it concurrent, it will be an absolute piss take for the victims, because they'll be thinking he's not getting any more extra time. Well, like I've said, anyone following this and watching this, he will not get released from prison. He's 50-year-old now. He's got another 30 years ahead of him. Hopefully, like I say, he'll get more time added on for this one. Maybe he's get a 40-year minimum term, which he deserves. He should have a life without parole because of what he'd done as a copper. So during the trial, jurors heard how Carrick essayed the youngster for about 18 months before she told her mother what was going on. But the crazy thing about this, he could have been stopped before he even got into the force, because, listen to this, he confessed in a letter which was recovered from his medical records and signed Dave. In it, Carrick wrote that the girl was not crazy and that it was true, but that he had stopped about 4 months previously. Given evidence in court, the victim said, "When I heard he was a Metropolitan copper, the words I have always used were, God help anyone with him when he has a warrant card." The second victim met Carrick through a dating website and was aware from the start he was a police officer. At first, she found him charming, but during the relationship, he became controlling and raped her on multiple occasions. But just going back a second before I get into this on the second victim of the Old Bailey trial, what sort of medical records was this when he's actually admitted to it? I can't understand this bit, because it says in his medical records. So has he obviously been seen a shrink or something like this because of the allegations against him? He's been seen a shrink. He's been talking about it with whoever in the medical records. He's been speaking to somebody, and then he wrote that the girl was not crazy and that it was true. So what the fuck has been going on there, where this is all written in evidence? He's went on to be a copper after this and done all these horrendous crimes against poor defenseless women, a lot of the times when he's had his uniform on, using that as a controlling behavior and using it so that the women are petrified so they won't say anything because it's a copper. She told the juries, this is the second one I'm going back to now, the one that he was in the relationship with. So she told jurors that she had been left traumatized and that Carrick had ruined her life and tainted her views on sex and relationships. When interviewed in Full Sutton Prison in Yorkshire, Carrick claimed that the sex with the woman was consensual and accused her of being motivated by the Me Too movement. Despite his written confession, he dismissed the historic essay, claiming the girl was a liar. Following the verdicts, senior Crown prosecutor, Shilpa Shaw said, "I would describe David Carrick as a manipulative, controlling and abusive man who created a facade for the rest of the world so that no one would realize what he was doing behind closed doors. He was aggressive, abusive, violent, and yet he appeared to be charming and charismatic. He didn't count on his victims coming forward and exposing him as they have, and I'd like to thank them for doing so." Detective Superintendent Ian Moore of Hertfordshire Constabulary said the future could have been very different. Like I've just said, if Carrick's confession was handed to police in 1990. Now, I would like to know exactly, I'm going to repeat myself here, what confession was this? Who was it to? He's obviously been questioned about it, and then in medical records, I can't get me fucking head around this. Why didn't they dig into this when he was getting checked and vetted for the Metropolitan Police Force? He went on to say, I'm pleased that we've been able to get justice for the victims. This was all about them and ensuring they had a voice and that they were able to tell their story and be believed. Hopefully, it will help them with their recovery. Well, I hope so, and I hope he does get extra time so these victims do have a little bit of closure knowing that they're getting justice, because imagine having to relive that they've had to go on. That bastard could have easily just went, right, guilty. I'm not getting out anyway, but he's made them relive that trial, and the coward didn't even turn up to the trial himself and didn't give evidence. So that shows what kind of wrong and horrible, despicable, you-know-what he is. So I'll just talk a little bit about his career leading up to his time of getting these life sentences. So David Carrick was actually born in Salisbury, Wiltshire in 1975. 2 seconds. So after a short career in the British Army, Carrick became an officer in the Metropolitan Police in 2001, initially serving as a response officer in South London before he joined the Armed Paramilitary and Diplomatic Protection Branch in 2009. Although both the Met and other British police forces received multiple complaints about his behaviour, even more, including an investigation for domestic abuse in 2002, Carrick was recertified to remain an armed police officer in 2017. Work colleagues gave Carrick the nickname Bastard Dave due to his propensity for cruelty. Absolutely unbelievable. So it was between 2003, some 2 years after being a copper, Carrick abused and raped multiple women he met using sites, Badoo and Tinder, often in Hertfordshire. Using his job as a police officer to gain their trust and inflate his apparent importance, he developed several abusive relationships. Carrick degraded his victims via physical abuse with a belt, imprisonment in small spaces, urinating on them, and rape. In some cases, he controlled what his victims wore, when or what they ate, and when they slept. Well, now he's going to be on the receiving end of that in prison, because he's going to be in a confined small space. He's going to be told when he can eat, what time he gets out of his pad, and then it says he would sometimes ban them from eating altogether. What an absolute monster of a man. Now, also, what I'm going to talk about is what will happen to him inside of prison. Now, it does say that he's in HMP Full Sutton. Hopefully, they'll send him up to HMP Wakefield, where he doesn't have any protection. And I'll be bringing this out. Another one bites the dust. Another bacon will be getting bashed. And hopefully he gets the treatment Ian Watkins and Kyle Bevan got, because he will be one of the ones that's on the top of the list for prison justice. There was I should have looked back into this to see when the exact time frame, but I do believe it was in 2023 inside of HMP Belmarsh, not long after the trial when he was in there, when he just had been sentenced. A couple of the lads got a hold of him and battered him about. They didn't give him a very severe beating, but they did bash the bacon. So he did get bashed about a little bit. Unfortunately, it wasn't as severe as what the rest of the bacons have had. But his time will come, believe me, people. His time will come. And like I've said, he will be high priority for that. Him and David Carrick, I'm going to do an updated video on the pair of them. But them two will be high priority. Sorry, not Wayne Couzens. I mean, David Carrick and Wayne Couzens are high priority for prison justice. More so for the fact that they are coppers and what they've actually done. Wayne Couzens, we all know what he done to poor Sarah Everard. He is an absolute wrong and despicable wronging as well. And they will get their just desserts inside of prison. Their time will come and they will be served up good and proper. Now, I'm going to go over to the subscribers now, people. If anyone wants to fire away any questions, anyone want to interact or ask anything, I can see there's about 50 comments already came through. So I will have a quick flick back through and see what we can go through, people. But like I said, if you want to ask anything or you want us to talk anything about these bacons, and if you have just joined, because I can see there's a few hundred people watching live, or 254, sorry, watching live. If you have just joined, once I finish the live and click end stream, it will be automatically uploaded so you can watch it later on. Right. Let us go back through some of these here. So, Team Fury, one of my long-time subscribers, how we doing? He says also 90% of SCAs are not brought to court, which puts victims off reporting these sick crimes, which is the fact as well. They're not brought to court, but even the ones that are, there's a massive percentage never get convictions out of it. I'm not sure on the exact percentage, but it is massive where some of these that do make it to court end up in not guilties or they've found that they're not proven. So well done, like I've just said earlier on, to the victims that did come forward and finally get the closure that they wanted of this absolute wronging. But there will be more, like I've just said earlier on, there will be more victims of these beasts or that beast that hasn't reported it, or they are no longer here because of what he'd done to them. They've probably done away with themselves, because a lot of these victims of that type of crime go on to have lifelong trauma of what has happened to them, and they end up on the narcotics, and they end up doing away with themselves, or they end up dying off the narcotics off an overdose. Right. Just have a quick. So Howard, another long-time subscriber, how are we doing? Morning from the Highlands of Scotland. Right. Let's see what this one says. Lester says, do you agree with only men working in men's prisons to stop female officers getting into relationships with prisoners? Well, that is quite a debatable question. But I don't think they should be working on the bacon wings, because they do get taken advantage of. In the regards that some of them, I'll give you an explanation. There was a female officer when I was in Franklin prison, and she was new to the job, and she was a lovely woman. She would help you out. If you needed help, you needed applications. A lot of the screws just wouldn't give you the time of day, couldn't be asked to do the work. Where if you would ask her something, she would make sure she went away, got you the answers. Maybe it was something to do with the visit, phone calls, or something like that. Where a lot of the time the screws will say, right, no bother, leave it with us. You ask them again in the afternoon and they say, oh, sorry, I forgot about it. Where she would come back and give her the answer every time. But she was too nice, if that makes any sense. And the other screws cottoned onto her and they thought, you're being too nice. They actually put her on the bacon wings. And I thought, if she was nice with the lads up on the normal location wings and she gets put down on the bacon wings, them bacons will just take the fucking piss out of her. But should only men be working on the male wings? Not really, because imagine some lads that have been in prison for 10 years and they've never been around women that don't know how to talk to them or anything like that. It's just an example. Then you get out on the outside world, it's going to be a lot more difficult to interact with females if you haven't been around them for 10 years. And in Iraq, and I'm just talking about daily conversations, just striking up conversations, asking for help or whatever. If you're only being surrounded by hard-faced men, then you're not going to know how to deal or speak around females. So it is a bit of a controversial one, but I do believe they shouldn't be working on the bacon wings for the simple fact that they'll be looking at them for one reason and one reason only. They'll be wanting, imagine what that Carrick and Wayne Cousins are thinking when they look at a female officer on the wing. They'll be having all sort of deluded fantasies what they want to do to her. But all of these relationships, as Lester says there, if you have a look and type in inmate and prison officer relationships on Google, it's just about every other day it's happening. More so, like you say, it's the females going with the males. But it does happen in the women's prisons as well. It's just it doesn't come to light as much. So Sheila Miller says, I think they should put a minimum age on recruitment. They need a bit of life experience. Yes, they do put a lot of, especially when they were understaffed, there was a lot of youngsters, 19, 20, even 21. There was hundreds went into the prison system. A lot of them actually went from McDonald's and places like that, where they'd been recruited to get more money than working in McDonald's. And imagine a teenager who's been working at McDonald's gets chucked in a prison full of fucking nutcases. What do you think's going to happen? They'll be getting turned into burgers and they'll be getting eaten alive. That's what's been happening. And that is also why the jails are ram-packed with all sorts, because it's not just the lads getting it in themselves via drones. It's all the bent coppers, the bent screws rather, taking stuff in, which from a prisoner's point of view, that's what you want in prison. You want that sort of thing because prisoners, obviously, they want to get illicit items inside. So if they come across people like that, then that's what they're wanting. And that's what the prison officers are wanting as well, because they're on shit pay. So get an extra 500 quid a week. They're going to jump at the chance, aren't they? So some prisoners would rife the crack of dawn if it was possible. So I'm not sure what that one is meant to say. I think you meant to say some prisoners would rise the crack of dawn if it was possible. I'm not sure. Put it in the comments. I'll go back over it but I'm not sure. I think you might mean rise. So Craig, another long-time subscriber. Thanks for your ongoing support. Hi, I agree with you about that. How the fuck do you even get considered for the job in the first place? How do we know that it didn't start in the army and not getting caught? So he's on about the David Carrick, going back to that. Obviously, this is the topic that we're talking about in the video. He says, how the fuck do you even get considered for the job in the first place? How do you even know that it didn't start? Well, it started in the 80s, like I've just said about that. There's the most recent offence that he's just been found guilty on. And it could have been stopped. All of this offending that happened when he was a copper could have been stopped if they'd seen this medical record, which has come to light, when he's actually confessed. Absolutely outrageous. Right, what else have we got here? So, Machiko Noguchi, if I pronounce it right, they need to make the bacon wings like Treblinka, in my opinion. I'm not sure what Treblinka. Not sure what Treblinka is, but I'm assuming you're saying make the bacon wings horrid, which they should do. They shouldn't be getting the luxuries that they get. They should be treated like the vermin that they are. They should never get released, to be honest, because these bacons never rehabilitate. And I am going to do another video, maybe for tomorrow or later or maybe it's the weekend, because it is later in the week now, on Colin Pitchfork. That horrible man who killed 2 youngsters in the 80s, I believe it was. No, it might have been earlier. He has just been refused parole. And I'm going to save that one for another video for another time. I might even do a live on it tomorrow or something, but I'll let you know in due course. But they never changed. That bacon has been recalled back to prison twice if he never got caught in the first place, he would have been a mass serial killer, him. He's an absolute horrid wrong'un, and he should have been sentenced to life without parole. But he has actually been grooming the younger Bacon inmates inside the jail, which has come to light. And that's what I'm going to talk about probably in my next video. Right. See what I am. Oh, sorry. Treblinka was the scene of many atrocities in Bosnia. Right. Yes. And someone's put death camp. So yes, that's definitely what they should make the bacon wings like. And then bacons would think twice. Imagine if you had the bacon wings where there were absolutely places where the bacons didn't want to be, they didn't want to go, it would stop them from doing it. We'd stop the majority. The rest of them can go and suffer on it, but it would save a lot of victims. So I do agree with you on that. They should make it absolutely uninhabitable. So Joseph says, also my brother was attacked. Alfie Peak, a 5-minute sustained attack, including head stomping. He's got severe brain damage. They got 12 years each. I'll just go back through the comments to see if he's put anything more about that, because when he's put also, it seems as if you've been talking about previously in the comments section. I can't say anything more. But his brother was attacked, sustained, including head stomping. So if you're going to be attacked inside of prison, more so in a high security jail, and for whatever reason you're going to be attacked, if it's in a high security jail, more so, you're going to be attacked severely. And like Joseph says there, I'm not sure the ins and outs about his brother or what's happened, but he's got a severe head stomping and he got severe brain damage. And that's what's going to happen, if not death, to these bacons, these high-profile ones inside a prison. So Ray says, sorry, I'm late. What did Carrick do again? He's put Derek. That's Derek. David and Carrick equals Derek. David Carrick is a copper, used to work for the Metropolitan Police, but what will happen is once this live's finished, you can go back and watch the whole thing again. But just a brief quick going over. He received 36 life sentences with a minimum of 32 years, 14 victims over the 20-year period when he was a copper. He was raping his victims and doing all sorts of despicable acts on them. And he is an absolute wrong'un. But he's just been found guilty yesterday. 2 more victims have come forward. He's been found guilty and he's getting sentenced later on today. So I will put that sentence in the comment section of this live video for anyone who's watching it, because the live that I've done the other day, obviously a lot of people are either at work or doing whatever and they don't have time to catch up on this. But when it uploads later on in the day, it does get a lot more views. Like I say, the one I've done the other day on Huntley's had nearly 50,000 views. I think by the time the live had finished, it had about 4,000 views. So if you are joining, you can see it later on. So Cody says, I feel like abusing his power should give him even more punishment. It should do. He should be sentenced to life without parole, just to get that closure for his victims, because they will be wondering or worrying, especially the younger ones. His latest victim was a child when he was doing that, so he's a lot older. And that victim will be worrying when he comes up for parole. But if you are watching this, I'm reassure you that he will not be released from prison. He will not get out. He's going to be about 80-year-old when he's up for parole. It depends on what he gets on this next sentence, because he will be sentenced again, like I said earlier on in the video. Hopefully he gets another 10-year added on top of the 30 or the 32, which he's already serving now, which he will definitely never be released from prison. So Joseph, super chat, £2. Thank you very much. There is a super chat on here where it gets you, make sure that your comment gets recognized or you get some recognition from the super chat. It's just another feature that's on here, which helps the channel, which I do appreciate. And he says, not much, but appreciate you. Listen, every little counts. I appreciate every little bit people do in the super chat. Thank you very much. It goes a long way. So I imagine they will find it hard to trust police ever again after something like that. How sad. Yes, like you say, there's not many of them that they'll encounter that's going to be like the likes of David Carrick and Wayne Couzens. They are absolute monsters. And obviously when they've been speaking with the police officers afterwards, when they've been given their testimonies, been given their evidence, given the statements, I think when they've been speaking to them specialist coppers, they'll have gotten some reassurance that they're not all like Carrick. So Dave Moles says, why do they say multiple life sentences, but they say a minimum of surely life should be life? Well, in this case, it should be 36. If you think about it, 36 life sentences. But the minimum term, on Wikipedia, it says 30 years, but on the other article I've just read out said 32. I'll go with the Wikipedia one, which is a minimum of 30 years. That's not even 1 year per victim, which is a fucking scandal. When they give the sentences out in America, they do it right for these type of offenders. They'll give them a fucking 200-year sentence, meaning they will never be released. If it's 36 life sentences, it should be 10 years for each victim. So it should have been life with a minimum. It should have been life without parole. If you're going to get 36 life sentences, fucking how many does he need for him to get life without parole? 36 life sentences, 14 victims. Well, the 36 life sentences was actually for the 12 victims, and it's for all the different charges. He had dozens of charges, 47 individual grapes. So it should have been life without parole. 36 life sentences, it just sounds fucking stupid. They should have just said, right, we're going to give you one sentence collectively. But I think what they've done is because there's that many victims, they're given each victim they've spoke about, saying you're getting a life sentence for this. And then at the end, they've come together with a 30-year figure, which, like I've said, they should have just said at the end of it, to save the victims even more heartache, life without parole. Then they would have been happy knowing that he was never to be released again. Right, where are we at? So Laura, I'm going to read Laura's comment out because I can see it's Laura Barr, but I believe he's using his missus's account because I think he comments quite a lot. I'm saying hey because he always says how we're doing. So hey, big man, sorry I'm late. No worries, Laura. Tell us in the comments what your name is so I don't keep referring to you as Laura unless it is Laura. But you've interacted a lot over the years, and I do believe it's not Laura. But we'll find out. Drop it in the comments. Right, what's this one? Oh, I'm not even. Oh, I thought this was. I thought it was a troll there when I've seen something about Ricky I'll seven ball you. I thought, oh, here we go. Here's a troll saying they're going to hit us with some pool balls. So Ricky I'll seven ball you in pool table, and if you don't like it, I'll put you under your bed. Only joking, mate. Good content, and what a bunch of evil monsters recording your latest videos. Thank you very much. Oh, and there's Laura back on. Sorry, I must have been confusing you with somebody else, Laura. But thank you for your continued support. Right. So Trevor says, no way is Carrick ever walking out of prison. Absolutely not. Like I've said previously, like I said earlier on in the live. When he gets this new sentence, he's going to be into his 80s when he's up for parole, if he survives that long. I do believe he'll get the Ian Watkins treatment at some point, because the way the prison system is going, it is going, all of the high security bacons are going to end up being like HMP Wakefield, where they're mixing them in and they're not giving them any protection. It's crazy to say, but normal location lads, gangsters, gangbangers, fucking people that are in for killing bacons are getting housed on the same wing as bacons that have ended the lives of little ones. Imagine doing life without parole and being put on a wing with them. It's a fucking free-for-all. You'll just think, right, there's no way I want to be living on this fucking wing with these bacons. I've been put here through no choice of my own. I'm never getting out of prison again. I might as well do some community service, do a Robert Maudsley and take as many out as you can and get moved onto a unit where you're away from all these fucking wrong'uns. So Dan says, what prison is Irfan Sharif going to go? He's in Franklin and he's on A-wing with Huntley, Levi Belfield, Wayne Cousins, all of the most high-profile ones, because remember, he got done with a tuna can lid inside of Belmarsh, and they put him up there because he was that high-profile. And I've mentioned previously, that wing where Ian Huntley is hasn't got as many bacons on it, and even the bacons are checked and vetted before they get put on there, so that Huntley doesn't get attacked. They're given that fucking wrong and extra protection because he is the most high profile. If I was to pick one who is the most high profile in the whole of the UK prison estate, then it is Ian Huntley because of what he done. Even though there is just as bad or even worse, he is the most high profile because it was the most spoken about and people do not forget it. Is it possible the mixing in Carrick prison is being purposely done just to start culling the bacons? Well, there is an overcrowding situation. There is an understaffed situation. So, maybe, I don't think, well, I'm saying I don't think, it's definitely not done on purpose. But it would be nice if they did do it on purpose and let the bacons get destroyed by the normal location lads who were never getting out. What's that film? Can't remember the name of it. That film where for 1 hour at midnight they were allowed to go and do is it The Purge? Imagine doing a purge run for the bacons. Let all the most let all the most dangerous UK murderers loose. Let them loose off the top wings, the normal location lads, unlock every bacon in the jail and let there be a purge. And put video cameras up all over the place. It will be a fucking Sky movie premiere. A blockbuster, sorry. Right. So, Ray, back on again. Thank you very much. Good to see your channel and your insight on these things. Here my support to you for happy life going forward. I found your channel this year. Thank you very much, Ray. It means a lot. And thank you for your continued support. So when I mentioned about that movie there, someone's put Running Man. I think it is that one as well. But I think it's The Purge where you're allowed to go and do whatever you want and you will not be prosecuted. Do a purge on the bacons. Someone's actually asked us about this. I got this off a website called Lazada, actually, but I think it's only available over here in Thailand. And someone says, do you sell those little piggy bacon bashers? Every time a bacon gets bashed, I'll bring it out. Someone actually did say for us, which I'm going to do when I do a live, actually, to do another one bites the dust. Put the song on every time a bacon gets done. Another one bites the dust. Yes, but I should actually stock a load of them and then sell them on my fucking store. Because these t-shirts, the Bronson ones, and these ones I've got on, my little camera's following us about when I'm moving around there. And behind the bars TV, there's a merchandise store if anyone is interested in that. Merchandise, sorry. So Stephen says, when I landed at HMP, I had to block myself to get out of there. My neighbour was a bacon. He threw his kid down the stairs for crying. The toddler died aged 10 months. And that's what the likes of Stephen have got to fucking put up with. Like, as much as we say, because I've got pals inside a jail at the moment who are lifers and they're due to go to category C's, And this is what's doing their head in, because in the category C's, they're trying to bring this about more and more. They're saying, why should they have protection? When they're on the outside, they have to live amongst normal people. So, and I used to think, we fuck them, put them on, let them have no protection. But you've got to think of it on the other side. The likes of Stephen, or the likes of me pals whose lifers who have got coming to the end of the last stretch now, where when you go from a category B, they've been Cat A, Cat B, and they're now going to category C prison. When you go to a category C, you've got to behave yourself or you get sent back to the category B, and you need to keep your head down so that you get your parole or get to category D, which is an open prison. So it's not fair on these lads who've got to have share a pad. They're not share a pad. They've got to have someone in the pad next door to them who's done something like what Stevens just said, and he's obviously put himself down the block or acted up and fucking griefed the screw, so they put him down the block just to get away from that horrible wrong'un who was in the pad next door to him. Because you wake up on a bad fucking day, you look down, you see him next door to you, what's going to happen? Then you're going to be either on another fucking charge, or even worse, go to town on him and end up on another fucking L, get the L plate, get a life sentence. So Jackie Maloney says, I hope you don't mind me saying that I feel really proud of how you've turned your life around for yourself and your family. Well done. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I still get messages on a daily from people saying how much I've helped them, how much I've helped the youngster. There was one on the other day actually in the comment section saying that the ones who's new to this channel as well and just watching the live now, if you haven't seen the documentary that I was in, HMP Franklin, the prison documentary, it's on my 5 catch-up, Channel 5 catch-up. And she showed her son who was going off the rails, going off the track. He was doing the same as what I was doing at that age. And obviously I tried to teach the youngsters not to do what I'd done, try to help them. And she showed her son the videos and talked. Some of the videos were motivation talks about how I've turned my life around, even though I had a blip a couple of months back now. But that's in the past. That was just a little blip when I went on the fucking drink. But it's another learning step. And like Jackie says there, all the people that I'm helping along the way as well. And that woman that put in the comment section about her son, she said he's actually in full-time employment now. And just off watching my videos, I've changed his life without me even realizing it. And I did get a message this morning off a lad who's now 21-year-old. He was 16-year-old when he got a life sentence with a minimum term of 27 years. And he actually sent us a message and said, Ricky, he's obviously from inside of his party. He says, I'm fucking really pleased I found your channel. Well done for what you're doing. I wished I had someone around like you when I was 16, when I done me murder, shot somebody and got 27-year tariff. He's 5 years into it, and he's got another 22 years left. He's now at that age where he's starting to think differently, and he's thinking, but his life's fucked now. And obviously the victim's lives and his family's lives fucked. And if there's more people around teaching these youngsters not to go down that path, then it's going to save a whole lot of heartache. But imagine you get one life, and if you fuck it up and you end up with a life sentence, you're stuck in a prison for the rest of your life. It's no way to be. So Dan says, sometimes it is hard to tell some people, sometimes they got to go through it to realize you were right. And I'm a prime example of that as well. I had to go through all this shit, all the grief, everything that I've done, caused, and been a part of, to be able to sit here like this now as a reformed character and not going down that same path that I have been or was going down for fucking all them years. So Sheila, another life sentence, minimum 30 years to run concurrently. Oh, so thank you for that, Sheila. So he's been sentenced. I'm on my live on my computer at the moment. And I've got my phone, so I'll quickly Google it. But like Sheila's just said there, thank you very much for that super chat gift as well, Sheila. It means a lot. So Just having a quick look on Google here whilst I'm on, because as Sheila says, he's been given another life sentence, but to run concurrently. And this is what I spoke about at the beginning of the live. Yeah, I can't find it on here. Oh, there we go. So, Met Officer David Carrick has received an additional life sentence. He had already been serving 36 life sentences with a minimum of 32 years after admitting 71 offences committed over a 17-year period. I'm just trying to find the bit where it says concurrently, just so... Do bear with us one moment, people. It said he added mitigation was limited in its nature and that the earliest date of parole had already been set when he would be 78 years of age. Judge Justice McGowan said, the sentence I impose today will have little, if any, practical effect. What an absolute fucking piss take. Now, this is exactly what I've just mentioned at the beginning of the live, people. Sheila's just come on. Obviously, she's done a super chat because she'll have wanted us to see this, that he's getting another life sentence. Why give the fucker another life sentence and make it run concurrently? Concurrently, for the people that were watching that don't know, means that it will not be served. Like, the minimum term is still 30 years. If they'd said consecutively, which they should do, why give 36, now 37 life sentences? And that's absolute piss take to run concurrently. So he will not serve any more time. Them victims of this most recent conviction will be feeling so fucking let down. They'll be thinking, what was the point in going through all that heartache in the trial, talking about everything and going through all the emotional trauma that they've experienced at the hands of that beast? This should have been consecutively, for the simple fact that the youngster was 12-year-old at the time he was doing that. That's fucking enraged me, as you can see. Concurrently, he will not serve any extra time. He'll be 78 when he's up for parole, which means if he keeps himself fit and healthy inside a prison, he could get parole and be out before the age of 80. Hopefully, he won't see that long, which I doubt he will. Prison justice will come his way. But them victims of the most recent conviction that I've spoke about at the beginning of this live will be so... Imagine how they will be feeling this exact moment when they've seen the sentence that he got. When they've said an additional life sentence, they would have been buzzing with joy, thinking, yes, he's got another life sentence. But then when that bastard judge said them words concurrently, they would have been so deflated, knowing that everything they've just done to get him extra time has been worthless, yes, they'll have been buzzing when he got guilty, that they've been believed, they've actually now got it out in the open, but make the fucking sentence match the crime. It should have been life without parole. He's got 14 victims, 37 life sentences, but it's still just, I'm saying just, but they could have put it up a bit so he would have been about 85, which life expectancy, he probably wouldn't have seen that. And like DZ says, especially from this 12-year-old. The 12-year-old will be one of the ones that's going to take or be harder to deal with and get over, knowing that 12-year-old at the time of it. The other victims, obviously, were ladies who were already matured and everything, probably got over it a bit better than what the 12-year-old has done, especially when it was reported at the time. She told her mother, she plucked up the courage, the good little girl. Praise her now. She's now obviously a fully grown woman. But I do praise you for speaking up, trying to get this bacon off the streets when you were 12-year-old. You told your mother. Nothing came of it. It's in medical records where he's admitted to it. That whoever the medical person is who wrote the notes down I hope you're fucking happy with yourself, knowing that you didn't report this beast when he admitted to it, confessed, and he went on to do these other deeds. Fucking outrageous. So, like Trevor says, should have gone up to 42 years. At least then the victims will be happy being able to sleep at night knowing that he's never going to get released, because they're going to now be worried thinking he's such... They will be having nightmares about how much of a wrong'un he is and what he done to them, the threats and everything, to go with the things that he actually done to them. They will be traumatized. They'll be suffering from PTSD, and they'll be thinking he's going to get out and come for us. Which you can imagine they will be thinking that. I just added some extra years. That's exactly what they should have done. Right, people, I'm going to do about another 5 minutes. I've been on 50 minutes here now. I'm going to wrap this up in about 5 minutes' time. And like DZ, I'm just going to say Dazin says, then withdraw his statement calling the victim. He called the victim a liar, even when he got interviewed again in Full Sutton. Was it this year or last year when it came to light? 2023, I think it might have been actually, but he got interviewed last year about this most recent one. And like Dazin says, he said the victim was a liar, even though his confession was there in writing. Why did you put them victims through that trial? You absolute wrong'un. When you knew you were going to get found guilty, but you still couldn't give them that little bit of peace and just plead guilty. So Cody says, amazing video as always, Ricky. Thank you for sharing. Not a problem. It's my pleasure. Like I say, it's now this channel started off when I first got released from prison, when I wrote my book, which is there. My fitness book, which helps, it was aiming at helping prisoners to help people change their lives and mindset. So I started off this channel talking about the book, but then when I mentioned prison, it built up from there, and it now built into the channel that it is today, coming up to 130,000 viewers, 130,000 subscribers. And the channel has went up at a brilliant rate. And if you have a look at some of the views on my videos recently, the channel has really took off, which I'm pleased about. So Sheil Miller says, great live, mate. I love your honesty. Thank you all for tuning in. Like I say, the next video, I'm going to talk about that Colin Pitchfork, that horrible, despicable man who has just been knocked back on his parole. But the parole board have released the reasons why he's been knocked back, because of what he's doing to the younger inmates, which I'm going to talk about in the next live. So Laura, thank you very much. Thanks, big man. Keep smashing it. Keep up the good fight. Dazin, thank you. Chris, great channel, bro. Stay safe and have a good day, everyone. Right. Cheers for the work. You're more than welcome. X3 says, just found you today. Really interesting stuff. Looking forward to more. Thank you very much. I've got hundreds of videos on this channel now. If you go back and have a look, it's not like it's a one-punch video where you watch it once and that's it, or people don't have to go back and watch it. I mean, what I'm trying to say, a little bit of tongue-tied there. Some of the videos that I've done even 2 years ago are still interesting. It's not videos where you see these other channels where they're just talking about shit where you might find it interesting on that day. You can go back and watch these videos and they're still interesting. I talk about old cases as well. So Jason Kemp says, how much is your book? I think on Amazon you can get it for $9.99. If you go to the link in my videos, it's not on this link yet. We'll go to links to my previous video. I will put it in the description of this one. You can actually buy my book as an e-book. It's got a 50% offer on for about $4.99. It'll download straight to your phone. It mostly talks about fitness, exercise, how to better yourself both physically and mentally. It does talk a little bit about me being in prison. But if you go and have a look, and it downloads directly to your phone. So if you are someone that wants to go to the gym and you're into your fitness or your weight training, whatever, you can just go in the gym and just scroll through your phone. Everything's downloaded to your phone as an ebook. Right, this is the last message I'm going to reply to people. So I love the Maudsley interview video. It was nice finally knowing the real fact, since so many YouTubers don't really know or just speculate. So Cody's referring to the video, the interview I'd done with Gavin Maudsley, who is the nephew of Robert Maudsley. If you go to the playlist section and go to podcast section, you will see it's on there. And he talks in depth about his uncle, which is a very fascinating and interesting video. So if you want to go back and see that, people, go and give it a look. But if you are just watching this and you're not subscribed to the channel, go and double check. Right, I've missed this one out, people. I'm going to go back. Arts off Ray as well. He says, good to see your channel and your insight on these things. Hear my support too. I think I might have spoke about that one, but I got super chat of these three people: Joseph, Ray Carl Brown, and Sheila Miller. Thank you very much for your ongoing support, people. So I'm going to end that stream now. Hopefully you are enjoying the content, people. Give the video a share, give the live a share, give it a like, and enjoy the rest of your day. And more importantly, like I finish with on every video, stay safe.